everybody, welcome to my channel for new battle report. I played just before the list were due for ETC. I played a bootcamp with ETC Switzerland team. We played during two days. I think all members of the team were there. I attended one day and I was able to play 2 games. So there is now 2 battle report covering that. This is the first one. I played against the Vermin Swarm player from our team, Thomas. These were the lists, so you saw already my list. This is my TC list, and this is the list of my opponent. He was trying the following list: an Adept Witchcraft on a bell with Rod of Battle, an Adept Thaumaturgy with the book to get +2 to cast on Wrath of God mainly, a Senator with Binding and Call to get the Triumvirate, 40-ish Black Fur Veteran, 2 units of 40 Legendaries with Shield full command, 25 Legendaries with Banner of Discipline, 10 Giant Rats, 2x10 Shadowfur Stalkers, 3 Doomspark Device and 2 Arena Beast. So you see the concept of the list. Big block. I forgot to write down, he also got 6 Fetish Brutes. But the idea, you have 3 pieces of chaff, you have some units to like slow down the opponent or countercharge him, a lot of shooting attack and some solid blocks and a good magic. We played on King of the Hill and Counter Trust. Here you have our spell selection. I was slightly surprised that he didn't go for random move, because with 21-inch range I think it's pretty strong, but he went with reroll to wound from close combat shooting, fly, will turn, Rod of Battle, Smite, Wrath of God. Matchup analysis. So it's a shooty Vermin Swarm list. I didn't have a lot of experience in this matchup. I'm curious to see how it will go. On the theory, I felt quite good. First of all, because of the secondary, because it's a secondary where map control matters, and there I should have the advantage. And also, I was quite confident because I have so many wounds in my unit. I should be fit enough despite his range damage that is quite good. Basically, regarding secondary objective King of the Hill, my idea was to get them as close as possible, or maybe get the same, but basically reduce the concentration of the map where I would put my strengths, because I think that would be to my advantage. I'm not particularly interested to start this game, if I just say generally speaking, and then if you think about Counter Trust, obviously it's always good. When you need to exchange 3 drops, it's always good to start to drop, because you can push the opponent back and so on. So depending on the map and who gets the side, it could be interesting to start on Counter Trust, because you already see quite a lot from the opponent's deployment. What happened? So I won the roll for side, and I was really happy with, because you need to think that with Counter Trust it's up to 16 the piece of terrain that you can select. Meaning on my side I could select a forest, the wall, and then the other piece of terrain that are choosable in his part of the map. And in the top part of the map, basically the only thing that you can take is the hill, and then the rest is all on my side. So the choice was pretty easy. I went from the wall, thinking it's very likely that he gets to choose the hill, because if he doesn't take that, then basically you need to take something in my half of the board, which would be really hard for him to defend then. So he went from the hill, making sure that then we have a fight that is going to be very focused on the left part of the map, where he has an impassable to annoy his line and battle line structure. So I was quite happy with this choice, and I think it makes the start quite hard for him. He puts his 2 tunnels like here, and then obviously decided to drop on Counter Trust, so he put the first unit of 40 here to push me back as much as he could between the two secondary objective. I positioned a unit of Bruiser on the far left to push him back on the side. I think he could have potentially avoided that by doing a big line and then reforming turn 1 or something like that. Then second drop was a Doomspark Device here, and I did the same strategy. I picked 20 and 16 to see how could I be as forward as possible, so push back some stuff but still outside of the 20, and that's why I positioned the giant on the far right. Then he went with something else, I don't remember what, but not too significant. He just put another unit, I put a Saber-tooth Tiger, and then he dropped the first turn. By the way, sorry for the proxies, it was a test game, so he's playing this Chariot as Doomspark device, and the two Stegadon are actually Arena Beast. So he has Arena Beast on each side of the deployment, Fetis, Doomspark, Legendaries, Black Fur Veteran, Giant Rat, Doomspark, Arena Beast, and here on the back the 25 Legendaries with Discipline Banner with all the character in the unit. So that's it. My counter deployment was pretty easy. Basically, I put all my scoring unit strengths on the left where they are secondary objective, and I decided to go with the two single model on the right, basically. Yeah, center, right. And yeah, on the right flank, so my idea was with the Giant, basically, I have a lot of mobility to move to the side, and I figured out that here he has two units that would be wounding the Frosty only on 6s. So if I can use my Giant to move to the side with the mobility, he might have to cover these moves with the Arena and then basically not be in a position to zone the Frosty anymore. And then at this point of time, maybe I can engage some close combat against one of these units in favorable conditions, basically. His turn 1. So yeah, he moves slowly forward, uses the wall to be behind it, not like that, but behind it to have cover against me, minimize the shooting that I might do, position Giant Rat to chaff me next turn, position the wheels to the side to basically be ready to jump out and shoot at me, depending what I do. But basically he's waiting for the chaff to come out and just forms a solid battle line and just move away with the stuff that I might be able to shoot with the Mervets. And here he cover with the Arena the movement to the side from the Giant. In Magic Phase, basically wasn't able to fly out of line of sight of them due to the position of the Bruiser, making it possible for him to escape. So I let that go and I dispel Wrath of God. My turn 1, so I push forward by 6 inch to avoid any DT. Here I wanted to shoot. I don't have many juicy target, but I position myself to cast spell against the Arena with my mage, and also to shot at the Black Fur, which are the best target here, because out of the blocks that might fight me, these are the only one with strength 4, and I might want to reduce them to just reduce the risk to face them in close combat with too many numbers, and even me going first, having him too many attacks left to arm me too much. So that's basically the idea of this choice. Other than that, yeah, just move forward and I escape him to chaff me pretty soon. Here I move backwards to avoid the chaff from the Doom Wheel and just cover my flanks. I move the Frosty to the center lightly and move the Giant to the side, so I wanted to increase the space between these two models to force the Arena to make a choice, but still be able to cover a march move forward with both, and basically making it hard for him to do it because he would get double charge. Also, I positioned Giant exactly at 18 inch away from the Arena Beast. My thought process was it makes him take a march check with -1, and at the same time it's only a charge on double 6 Swift Strike, so that was totally okay for me. Magic Phase, I got Hand of Heaven off, roll a 4/4, so I will lose the spell for the rest of the game, but I got 3 wounds off the Arena, which is not bad at all. I get Chilling as well on the Doomspark, but then it dispel my Wrath of God. Shooting, I kill 3 Black Fur Veteran. His turn 2, he double chaff me, uses the Giant Rats to chaff these 2 units, uses the Shadowfuse Stalker to chaff my Mercvets. So basically all my 3 big units are chaffed, and he takes advantage of that by moving forward with Doomspark to shoot this one and maybe get a nice fly. He moves slightly forward with the second one, but I didn't understand why he didn't position at least partially in the hill his Arena Beast, because that would have given him more possibilities. Black Furs, they just move close to the other unit, but they didn't move so much. Like you can see, they almost didn't move at all. Maybe they could have also pushed slightly more since I'm chaffed everywhere to get some option, I don't know. The rest is still move far away with the Doomspark to avoid me shooting him, and the Arena just move back to cover my Giant, continuing to move to the top of the table. Magic Phase, he got, what did he get? Reroll. He tried to get reroll to wound shooting against, I don't know which target. Then he got a fly shooting. He did under Chilling Hole, he did 13 wounds to my tribesmen with the 2 Doomspark, which is completely crazy. Other than that, he did, I think, 1 wound to my Merc Vets and 4 wounds to the Bruisers. So with a fly move, he was able to move to the side. Did 1d6 strength 4 against them. And then with the End of Heaven area, he was able to get both. He did 4 wounds to the Bruiser, who failed panic check on a 9 non-rerollable, because they were the only unit that were too far from the BSB. And I fled away, but I'm able to rally on my turn. I charge the Chaff 1 time with the Tuskers, 1 time with the Bruiser on the flank. Kept more or less the same position with the Frosty. Continued to march to the side with my Giant, still within 18, still the same strategy. And here I reformed 3 wide, rallied these guys, and decided to turn around here to basically have more space to put my Merc Vets first of all, and then second was also to provide another unit that could threaten this Doomspark, because I'm expecting him to move forward. Not care too much about my Bruiser, because I have only 2 models left, or 2.5 left, 2 models left, so not much. So I figured out I need some additional strength to deal with that Doomspark. If not, he could move around and then do a lot of d6, and that could be horrendous for me. My magic phase, so I knew I needed to buff that unit to basically, he could charge me with the Black Force, but not with him because he's behind the hill like I told before. So he could double charge me with blocks, which is not too scary as long as I get 1 time -1 to wound on myself, which will be my prime target for this magic phase. So I get first -1 strength on the Black Force. He let that go or failed the miscast, the dispel, I don't remember. Then I got hereditary on my Tuskers as well. And with shooting, I will kill 5 Black Force with my Merc Vets. Close combat, I in a position that would stop the pursue within 1 inch of them, which was my target. So I pursue and caught him, which was nice, and stop here. And here I just kill these guys and post-combat pivot. He's turn 3. So he had another unit coming out and chaffing, this time both the Merc Vets and the Tusker. He decided to charge my Bruiser darts with his big block. I fled, but not far away, but still enough to not get caught. It's still a front for the Frosty against his unit, so he wasn't in too much trouble. And he decided to continue to back off with his Arena Beast facing my Giant. Other than that, yeah, this Doomspark device moved out of line of sight of the Death Star, giving me a flank, another flank as well, so this is going to be interesting. And other than that, it just backed a bit and stayed far away from me, wanted to win time. He 5 dice reroll to wound, a shooting attack on the Tuskers, which I don't understand. I think it's a bit too risky to blow up the mage for not a game-breaking spell. But anyway, I let that go. And then he 5 dice Wrath of God, which I dispelled with 6 dice. Shooting attack, he did 3 wounds to my Tusker, thanks reroll to wound. So he got 1 End of Heaven and 1 time the Shadow Fear Stalker, which is not much, but still enough to kill 1 model. And now let's move on to my turn. So I charge a Chaff with my Merc Vets, position my Frosty to make sure that even if he charged me, I think this one was on the 9, even if he charged me with the Black Force, and this one is very far away, these guys couldn't charge me in the flank because I protect myself with the Frosty as well, and Frosty is giving them a front, meaning they could charge me, only 2 model in contact because of this unit. I positioned my Chaff to chaff this unit because I didn't like the static res. He has 3 ranks and a legend, so 4 ranks plus a standard plus a charge could be too much for the Frosty. So I just chaff him with dog, making sure basically that I need to buff them a little bit, but other than that I should be fine. There is any charge that I'm too scared of. My Giant moved back to the side, basically threatening. If he wants to push hard towards me, then I would be threatening his flank or back. So I'm covering that, and I'm out of line of sight, still within 18 of the arena to make him test. These guys rallied 9 rollable. Death Star moved slightly forward, and here I took 2 charges. The first one was the Bruisers automatic, and second one was the Tribesman on a 6 on 2 dice. I failed that one, I was a bit sad about. I hope the Bruiser will be enough to deal with the Doomspark, because that would be a problem less in my flanks. Magic phase, I got -1 strength on the black first, just making sure they don't want to fight with my Merc Vets, which I was happy with. I fail hereditary, I guess. Did I? No, I got hereditary as well on the Merc Vets. So basically there is no way he's going to fight me next round. And then close combat, I was a bit lucky here, so I got 2 impacted, then he strikes. I think he lost a wound before, maybe. I did like 1 wound with impacted, and then with 3 attack on the 4, on the 3, I kill him outright, which was a bit lucky. So I had a charge and a flank. He did 2 wounds to me. So it's very depending on how much he rolls his end of heaven hits and his strengths. And I was lucky enough to win it, and even not only killing him. So not only breaking, but just killing him. And I'm still alive with 1 guy, 1 wound remaining. And here I dealt with the chaff, no problem. And that's going to be his turn 4, which will be the last turn of the game. We didn't have much time to continue, but we will just then discuss and simulate what will happen in the last turn, because I think it's quite easy to predict. So here, charge my chaff, which leaves no option for them to chaff the frost because there is no space enough. So he just turn around to face my giant. He doesn't do anything special with the arena, just position hit as a counter charges and uses a big block to chaff my Merc Vets. Position the arena behind the hill, same for the Doomspark, and the rest just move slightly back and away. Magic Face, I Binding Scroll will turn because I want the Frosty to engage against this block. And you get the fly off on the big brick to chaff also my Tusker in a good way, which I didn't understand too much because the Tusker have nothing to charge basically. So I didn't get the move, but that's what he wanted to do, also to get some hits I guess on the unit. I let that go and I dispel the combat buff shooting. He did 3 wounds to my Frost Mammoth. Did he? Yeah. With this one, End of Heaven, so it's crazy good sometimes. 3 wounds on the Frosty, which can happen. And then close combat, he fluffed against the dog, 1 wound remaining on my dog. I fled from combat. He passes the restraint check on a 6 or 7, 6? Minimize rollable? I don't remember, but yeah, he passes that and look at my Frosty, which was good for him. I continued to flee with the dog who ended up here. And that was going to be my turn 4. I charge with a Frosty against the big block. He passes terror check on the same as before. And I'm into combat. And then I double charge against the 40 legendaries. Rally my dog. And the rest I didn't move at all because it didn't matter. Close combat, basically what will happen, I will one-shot the 40 legendaries, which is, it's crazy how many attacks these 2 units combine. And I just one-shot all of them. Frosty against him, he passes the fear check, but between all my attack impacted and stomps, I managed to win combat. He passes his check, minimize steadfast with -1 due to fear, and then basically he has like a bit less than 4 ranks remaining, so he has only 3 ranks plus a model, so 22 models remaining at the end of this round, meaning most likely next round he's going to test again but still be engaged. And then either on my 5 or on his 5, I would be killing them. So it could change a lot because if he depends a lot if he managed to hold the combat on his turns. Because if he breaks on his turn, then I get a free pivot and I could get some good points. So it still could happen a lot here on this part of the map. Here basically we both agreed that I would get secondary objective because there is no way he could stop my scoring unit to go on this hill, but most likely he could back. I was still too far away and he could just back away from me and making sure that maybe I get a long charge turn 6, but nothing better than that most likely. So I would get secondary and an advantage on point as well. Here you see what I killed in 4 turn, and I only lost half a unit of bruises. Potentially my Frost Mammoth could be in little trouble or be forced to flee at some point, but that's it more or less. The rest is not in danger, and even with that I think the Frost, it's really a 50-50 depending when I disengage. But here basically he had no counter charge because here it's a front, he couldn't counter charge me, and here he doesn't see me. So at least on his turn 5 I would be still alone, and then he would most likely still have enough because he had like 22, so I think I don't kill 12, so most likely still steadfast on a 6 minimize or 5 minimize, and then if he's still in combat on my 5, most likely he would break, meaning he could be looking at me and then charge me on his 6 potentially. But I mean, yeah, depends what he decided to commit. I also have giant to threaten, so I think it's not done for him that he could get the Frosty. Anyway, that's it. Shortly post-game analysis. So I think I had a huge advantage after the secondary plus the map. I got really I think it's hard condition for him to fight because he had no good choice, and then he's forcing to fight me in a place where he has not a lot of space, first of all because of the house, in the space where I can focus all my scoring unit because the secondary objectives are really close to each other. Hard for him to threaten my advance with only 2 arena beasts. One of it wasn't used at all. I think the one that hid behind the hill could have done a bit more to threaten me or make me think twice. Thinking here, especially at the moment the Tusker charged the chaff and the arena was still behind the hill. I think if he was on the hill at this moment, I could have considered maybe not charging or doing something else with some other unit to deal with the chaff, but maybe I needed to think that he could then countercharge me with the arena on the 3 remaining Tusker, which is not anymore an easy fight for me. Shooting hurts, but I still had plenty of bodies left to fight. Like I saw, I think at some point when I need to charge the chaff with my big unit, like I did with the Tuskers, it can be a bit risky. I'm then depending on the buff to be safe, where if I can charge with darts, it's much easier. Like we saw when I charge the flank of the Shadowfur Stalker with my bruises, then basically if he charges me I can just flee and I'm totally fine. So I think I need to position and anticipate like I did at the beginning but not after with my darts, where could the chaff come and how could I deal with it a bit better basically. A dicey fight between my Bruiser and Doomwheel. I was a bit lucky there, so I was unlucky to fail the 6 on the dice charge. But then I was lucky to break it in, to kill it. So yeah, Frost Mammoth, yeah, good surprise. I think it's a decent monster that can fight against big units that don't have too much strength. So I was pleasantly surprised by his combat performance. I also wanted to test that, and that worked quite well because he would have gone the 40 legendaries at some point. I think regarding spell selection, random move would have been really annoying for me. Had he picked it instead maybe of spell number 6 of Witchcraft. I think would be really a spell that could be at some point annoying and be like an extra chaff. So I think with the 21 range given by the bell, I would have picked that. That's all guys for this first battle report. I hope you liked it. Talk to you soon on a new video. Bye.